Hey there, my name is Harrison Greenough. I'm a realtor in Maryland, and I'm making a video series here to help you guys figure out how to put in a really strong offer and, in general, what the offer contains, and explain each document so that you fully understand it before you sign those documents, and to help, for example, buyers and sellers that are working without an agent to understand them, because ultimately, although I am a real estate agent and I write these contracts every day, I want you guys to have the ability to understand them even if you aren't using an agent. So look through our videos, rewind them, replay them, and if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me directly. Thanks, and let's get started. Property is subject to ground rent addendum. Now, this is something that will be utilized if there is ground rent on the property, which is very common in Baltimore City. Now, in the contract of sale, you have the option of selecting if it's a fee simple or a ground rent property. Now, if it's fee simple, this would not be utilized, but if it's a ground rent, this will be added to the contract of sale as an addendum. So here we have the addendums dated whenever the addendum was signed and dated. Generally, it's with the contract of sale between the buyer's name as in the contract of sale, and the seller's name as in the contract of sale for the property known as whatever the property full address is as in the contract of sale. Notice required by Maryland law regarding your ground rent. Now, this is important that the buyers know. This is disclosure from the seller, right? So this is going to be put on the buyer ultimately. So the seller needs to know how much their ground rent is. And you can talk to a title company if you're not sure, and they can kind of guide you in the right direction. Records are very bad. Now, ground rent was a very antiquated concept. You can redeem your ground rent. It's not practiced in the same sense as it used to be. We still have ground rent in mobile homes that have a community. For example, if there is a landlord who owns several plots of land and they want to connect utilities there and have their mobile homes parked there, that would be called ground rent. But it's a little bit different in this case. We're talking here about ground rent that is owed to the original or heir of the ground rent holder. So the original owner of the parcel allowed somebody to build on it with the understanding there would be a ground rent in addition to the payments of the new owner's mortgage. So this is basically the older version of allowing developers to develop more economically. The property is subject to a ground lease. The annual payment on the ground lease / ground rent here, right, is X amount of dollars. So you'll write, if it's $90, you'll write the word 90 and then put 90. Payable in yearly or half yearly installments on date or dates. So you'll write which dates, you can write it out or whatever works for you. The next ground rent amount. The next ground rent payment is due on the following due date. Put the date and the amount of, write out the number and then write the digit number. So you'll write out the words number and then you'll write out the actual number. The payment of the ground rent should be sent to the full name, full address, and full phone number of whoever the person the ground rent should be sent to. That was the heir of the original landowner. Now, you can redeem your ground rent if you want to after the fact or before. It can be a little complicated to do so, but you'll talk to a title company and they can kind of help you out, and you may need to talk to the city as well. But there are rights to redeem. So here, note regarding your rights and responsibilities under Maryland law. I'll read through this, but at the end of the page, you'll go ahead and initial here, right? As the owner of this property, you are obligated to pay the ground rent to the ground lease holder. It is also your responsibility to notify the ground lease holder if you change your address or transfer ownership of the property. If you fail to pay the ground rent on time, you are still responsible for making payments on the ground rent, right? So if you fail to pay for, say, 2 years, you'll still be needing to pay that amount to the ground rent holder. Oftentimes people sell their properties never knowing that there was a ground rent holder, and they have, many years due that will be paid out at settlement. So just be aware, it can get you. The ground rent lease holder may take action to collect the past due ground rent, which may ultimately result in the loss of your property. A ground lease holder may demand not more than 3 years of past due ground rent, right? So it can be only a maximum of 3 years. So it usually isn't a devastating affair if they decide to collect it. You'll go ahead and put your initials here. Next page. As the owner of the property, you are entitled to redeem or purchase the ground lease from the ground lease holder and obtain absolute ownership of the property, which would then convert it to fee simple. So the reverse can't really be done, but you can make a ground rent property into a fee simple property. The redemption amount is fixed by law, but may also be negotiated for a different amount. So you'll want to check in with the city, and you'll want to talk to a title company and get all the information to do this, but know that you can do it, and it's usually not too expensive, typically just a few $1,000s. The preceding notice is required by law. The parties are advised that some ground rents may not be redeemable. All other terms and conditions of the contract of sale remain in full force and effect, and you'll put the buyer's and seller's signatures and dates. Thanks again for watching. If you have any questions or you would like to talk about potentially buying or selling a property, please feel free to contact me. My information is below and I would love to reach out to you and talk. So feel free to contact me and have a great rest of your day.